Today we rebuild the Cleveland Browns. Welcome back everybody to the channel. If you guys are new here, make sure you're leaving a like on this video. If you want more Madden rebuilds, make sure you're subscribing to this second channel of mine. I actually have a main channel called GG9 or Go Glover 9. It does a lot of MLB The Show and NCAA 14 content over there. So what do you say we get right into this rebuild, talking about Deshaun Watson and the rest of our Cleveland Browns. The quarterback room, pretty barren, gonna say, but Dorian Thompson-Robinson looking pretty good so far in preseason. The thing with Deshaun Watson, as far as this rebuild goes, pretty good quarterback, but he does have his baggage, right? And, you know, even when we're looking at how this rebuild is going to go, he's a 78 overall quarterback, making a ton of money as if he's a 90-plus overall quarterback. So that's a big issue. We got to determine how well he's going to play and if he's going to stick around. Nick Chubb, one of my favorite players, one of my favorite running backs in the NFL, even dating back to his college seasons in Georgia, only missed 1,100 yards rushing in one season, would have been his rookie year. So we got to center the offense around him. Now, our wide receiver room is pretty talented, I got to say. Jakeem Grant, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, you name it. The Browns are pretty athletic out there. And with Amari Cooper here, a lot of touchdowns. Solid number of touchdowns. I think he's going to be a big-time weapon here in this simulated rebuild. Now, David Njoku, when you're talking about the passing game, you can't leave him out. I think this offense is going to have a big season with Watson and Chubb and the receiving core. Plus, considering the offensive line, you got Bitonio at guard, you got Teller at the right guard, you got Pochitz in center, Wills and Conklin, your tackles. I think this offensive line is very, very good. In fact, I believe they're a top 3 offensive line, of course, with the Lions, my team, being probably somewhere ranked in the top 5 if I had to do a ranking on my own. But defensive line, like in the end spots, you've got Zadarius Smith, and then you've got Garrett, of course, a superstar X Factor. We'll take a look at his statistics here. Definitely going to be a focal point for me. I want to keep him around. Of course, the issue being, are we going to have enough money in order to re-sign him when that time comes? Defensive tackle, probably going to be a spot that I address in the draft or through free agency. We'll see how that all plays out. But linebacker could stand to use a little bit of an upgrade here. We've got Anthony Walker Jr. locking down the middle at a 77. It's not a bad rating as far as Madden terms go. You've got Owusu Koromoa. He's going to be an athletic freak out there at the right side. And then the cornerback room, I like where we're at here with Ward and Newsome. It's a good group. Safeties, you got Juan Thornhill. I like him. You got Rodney McLeod Jr., Grant Delpit. Good base right there. So it's a young, athletic defense. But the big issue for us here, guys, they spent a lot of draft capital on Deshaun Watson. We don't have a first-round pick for the first 2 seasons of this rebuild, and we have a salary cap issue.
Let's take a look at this. So this is from Pro Football Focus. Brad Spielberger wrote this. Taking a look at the salary cap from 23 to 25. So 2023, 2025. Browns are already over the cap by $28.5 million. That's the most over the cap in the NFL. You know, the Browns are under the cap this year. We've talked about it. They've kind of pushed it out, pushed it back. How concerned should Browns fans be about where they sit relative to the cap for upcoming seasons?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're going to be the highest spending team in the NFL 3 years in a row, which is how they're currently set up to spend the most cash in the NFL this year and the next 2, you obviously have to start manipulating the salary cap and doing different things. So we know they're going to restructure Deshaun Watson probably again, maybe restructure Myles Garrett after those option bonuses in his deal have run out, Denzel Ward, etc., all those big contract players. They're just going to keep kicking that can down the road. Concern maybe isn't the right word. I think Browns fans probably remember the days of having a ton of cap space and it meaning not much of anything. But I think they should understand, like, this nucleus, this roster is probably it. Yeah, they're going to add depth and they'll add pieces, you know, like they did this offseason. But I don't think you're going to see these massive marquee splash type moves the next couple of years.
And it's not because I don't want to make those marquee type of moves. It's just because we can't. The cap room's not going to allow us to do that. You can see we're at 18.8 right now. After this trade, we send Taki over to the Lions. We get Derek Barnes, another young linebacker, plus another draft pick. We're going to need to acquire a bunch of draft picks to kind of offset the amount of players that we're going to lose in the offseason because we can't sign them due to our salary cap fiasco, right? Thanks to Deshaun Watson. Now, his numbers here through 6 games were 2-4. And with this roster, I would have expected a little bit better. But we're just not quite there yet. We're not quite putting it together in our schedule. Watson's got 7 picks, 14 touchdowns. He does have a lot of yards, though. And defensively, you got Garrett with 5 sacks. You got a couple other guys chipping in there with the pressure. You got 3 interceptions through 6 games. That's got to be improved upon. I think our defense is a little lacking right now. But Watson's throwing touchdowns, but he's also throwing a lot of picks, which, again, puts your defense in some tough spots. We're currently rated 7th in offensive yards gained and 14th in defensive yards allowed. Now, again, kind of alluding to how many players we're losing here, we are $40 million in the hole for 2024 cap space. That's not good. Plus, look at the caliber of players that we're losing. Like, we're losing a bunch of starters, not just depth. We're losing starters. So my eye is fully on the draft at this point. I don't know how the rest of the season is going to go. We're going to simulate that. We finished 7-10, but so did the Bengals. So kind of a weird year. We do have about $17 million in cap space. I'm going to try to use that judiciously and identify players that we really, those starters that we really absolutely have to bring back here. I don't know if, like, Rodney McLeod would be a guy that I would bring back. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But Deshaun Watson's killing us. That contract is absolutely killing us. You can see how it all played out during the season. And now we get to sit at home and watch the Titans and the Jaguars and the Broncos, those types of teams, make the postseason. We were number 2 in passing offense. Our defense was the big issue. We rated number 22 and number 24 as far as points go and yards. So, defense coordinator, you're gone, and we are changing our defensive scheme. So we're adopting the Pittsburgh playbook along with the 3-4 under scheme. And we're going to hire this guy, Stephen Meyer, and give him a bunch of upgrades, because why not? We've got the staff points. Might as well do it up. Now, as far as the MVP award goes, Josh Allen is your MVP winner. Go figure. Mr. Cover Athlete. And then Doug Peterson's going to win Coach of the Year. No Brown mentions in sight quite yet. Offensive Player of the Year for the AFC, you've got Nick Chubb there rated 9th, just behind Joe Burrow. And Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett in the top 5 for the AFC. How about Rookie of the Year? You got Zay Flowers, you got Mims Jr., Anthony Richardson at number 3. And Bigsby rounding out the top 10 there. You've got Henley for the Chargers, Anderson Jr., number 2, and Drew Sanders rounding it out for the Denver Broncos. Super Bowl, Bills and Cowboys. Very strange Super Bowl, I gotta say. It's probably gonna end in a tie. It will be a never-ending game. Gonna end in a tie. We're $37 million in the hole in our cap. And we have a ton of players that are up for renegotiation. So it's not a good situation. So restructuring contracts, just like the video had said. Do we want to do this? I think that for Myles Garrett, he's going to be putting on $6.3 million for the last 2 seasons of his contract. That's kind of a risk, in my opinion. You could kick the can down the road, like he said. You could free up a lot of space with Deshaun Watson, but 14.9 going on his back end of his contract. These are some tough calls, man. Some tough calls. Denzel Ward is 11.1. That would be a big thing for us. So we're going to restructure Denzel Ward. I don't want to cheese this system too much, because I feel like with renegotiations, like with restructuring, I feel like the organization and the player, they have to enter into negotiations with that, and I don't want to apply that to everybody that's able to do it, because then it's just unrealistic. We could do it for Myles Garrett. We could do it for Wyatt Teller, which I think I'm probably going to end up doing here for Teller. Just makes sense that he'd be kind of a team player here. 6.46 that we can free up. That's going to be applied to his final season. So there you go. We're going to restructure that contract. And now we're getting a little bit more reasonable. We're getting a little bit more manageable here inside of cap space. Kellen Mond, we've got 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Of course, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I love that guy. Hopefully we could re-sign him if his contract is coming up. So we'll free up cap space with Kellen Mond being cut. Jordan Akins, I'm taking a penalty there, but I think at this point we just have to cut that cap space down. But look at, we're still 16 in the hole. we can't do anything. We can't sign our depth. We can't sign our starters. We can't even be active in free agency. So this is a tough call. This is a very tough call. We have to have enough players on the roster, number one. We don't have the cap space to sign anybody. So I'm thinking Amari Cooper could fetch us some good value. And looking at the Pats offer, looking at the Bears offer, that's probably the most intriguing. Texans, not so much. But Cooper, this one hurts me a lot. I don't want to get rid of Amari Cooper, but I feel like it just has to be done for the good of the franchise, for the good of the organization. If we went out and acquired Juwan Bentley, he looks like he's got some good coverage chops. 2 picks this year in Sim, 1 pick last year for the Pats. He's under a 2-year contract. That could give us some stability there for middle linebacker, but we already acquired Derek Barnes in a trade, so getting another middle linebacker there, he's good. It's a fair value for Cooper, but it doesn't help our salary cap issue, and it's like shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic, right? So we're acquiring a middle linebacker. He didn't really work out. Now we're acquiring another middle linebacker, and he might work out, but it hurts our salary cap. It's just not a good situation. So we will trade Cooper away for 3 draft picks. That gets us up to 10 total draft picks. We still don't have a first rounder. I'm not interested in even trading up for a first rounder because right now we have 40 some odd players on our active roster. We need 53, and it needs to be a talented 53. So we got to get as many people on our team that can contribute and play, like instant play. You know, you got to be an instant starter. So we got to hit on our draft picks this season. Even though they're middle to late round picks, we just got to hit on them. So the positions that I'm looking at here, we got to plan ahead for a life without Myles Garrett. If our salary cap situation just doesn't bode well to sign him, we got to figure that out. It could be this guy, like Amari Thompson. He looks pretty decent. He's a power rusher. He's running a 4.6. He's actually second amongst all right ends. He's got some good acceleration numbers as well. Then you got this guy, Flanagan, a power rusher. Pure power rusher. Doesn't run very well. He's a 4.8. That's still okay for a defensive lineman that's classified as a power rusher. His strength is elite. He's got a good broad jump and a vertical jump as well. So he might be a guy to consider. Now, wide receiver, we need an Amari Cooper replacement. Actually, the theme of this draft, we've got 10 overall draft picks. It needs to be focused on guys that are going to eventually take over as starters and be key contributors to the long-term rebuild. Now this guy, Cordell Hills from USC, got some good size. The ratings, as far as scout grades go, I like it, but he didn't participate in the combine, so that is kind of a red flag. Plus he's moved down 16 spots since the start of the season. Now tight ends, got to consider tight ends because David Njoku's contract is coming up, and I hate to get rid of him, but if you can't afford him, you can't afford him, right? So Devon Scruggs, looking very athletic, would be a guy that I would highly consider at round 2, round 3. We have 4 picks. We have 2 round 2s and 2 round 3s. So we got 4 picks in those ranges. Got to consider that. As a backup plan, Michael Swain might be a good guy to go get. His strength is elite for blocking, so I like what he's got going on there. Now, the Pro Day, so I did simulate a little bit further. He actually ran a faster Pro Day than he did at the Combine. So that is interesting. That's interesting. The man can move, and he's a really good blocker too. So you got to start considering that as a possibility. Is instead of Scruggs, you could go with tight end Swain. So here we go, guys. Draft is here. Now, we have round 2, pick 9. And honestly, when I'm scrolling down and I'm looking at the list here, I don't see a whole lot that I would go out and get. Got some cornerbacks, you got wide receivers and safeties. It just didn't make a lot of sense. I'm considering Swain. I'm considering Devon Scruggs. Maybe we can wait because it's really hard to pass up on a top 5 projection left tackle right here, especially considering we don't know what's going to happen with Wills or Conklin in contract negotiations. So when that type of player is staring you in the face, you take him, and he's got a hit in dev. It's perfect. Look at the acceleration as a left tackle, 85 excel and 86 strength. That is a really good base to work with as a young left tackle. And who knows, maybe we might be able to move him to a guard position depending on who is going to leave us in these contract negotiations. But right now we just don't need it. John Dean, I don't know if he's going to even be a starter. It's pretty crazy. Your second round pick is not going to play, but it is what it is. Now, as round 2, pick 11 is here, you've got Cordell Hills sitting here. I'm thinking to pull the trigger on this wide receiver. Round 2, round 3 projection. Got some good skills. Even though at 50% scouted, I trust it. So we're going to offer this up in trade. You know, just kind of see what's out there. Vikings looks pretty solid, but I'm looking for 2024 picks. Seattle looks pretty nice too. We've got a round 2. We could drop back. A little glitch here, by the way. It is overall pick 61. And our pick is pick 11 in the second round. So they've got some weird numbering here. This needs to change because it was like, am I dropping back 50 places? That's crazy. The Ravens ones, I really like that one. 2024 round 2, round 3, and round 4 for a division rival. It's a risk though, because if they take a player that's a game changer, you're gonna have to play that guy twice a year. That's gonna suck. Now the Packers, I'm not interested in just like allowing you to move up and me to move back. Like that doesn't make sense. I want multiple picks back for this selection. Lions was okay. Jaguars is pretty good at 2, 4, and 6, but that Ravens one's really speaking to me because we get a round 2, round 3, and round 4. 49ers, that one looked okay, but it's not beating the Ravens, guys. It's not beating the Ravens. So we're going to pull the trigger on this one and pray that they draft a bust. That they don't draft a guy that's going to kill us from now until the end of this rebuild, right? So let's advance the pick and see who they got. They did get a safety. That is Joey Russell from Auburn. And now since we dropped back, we do have New England's second round, which was part of the Amari Cooper trade. And we have the Ravens second round. So here we are, pick 30 for Cleveland. And Cordell Hills is still sitting here. 6'5", playmaking wide receiver, guys. He's a hidden dev. That is awesome. I'm hyped up about Cordell Hills. Give me some of that. All right, next pick here in round number 2. We could go outside linebacker with Jonathan Baker. I like what he's bringing to the table. He's moving on up the boards, right? He looks pretty good, but you got to go get your guy. Devon Scruggs is gone. Michael Swain is just a freak athlete, and we're going to draft him too. 86 speed, 87 acceleration, 81 change of direction, guys, with 83 agility. That's a freak athlete at tight end. That's Darren Waller-esque, if I may say that. He ran a 4.4 at tight end. You got to go after that guy. I think the weakest part of his game right now is route running. So every time we get an upgrade, we're going to have to definitely apply short route, deep route, medium route. You get the drill. So, guys, round 3, pick 20, I think that was 26. We're looking at quarterbacks just for a life without Deshaun Watson, because eventually I would like to get rid of that contract, to be quite honest with you. But these guys are day 3 grades. Some of those dudes are projected UDFA. Quite frankly, I don't want to spend a round 3 pick on that. So just taking a look real quick at who's available. But left outside linebacker, Devin Middleton, he's got the round projection, but the numbers just weren't there, right? I'm looking at Frank Harris, though. He's got some pretty decent numbers. I think for a round 3 linebacker, I say why not take this guy? I mean, you look at the acceleration, you look at the speed, you look at the agility there. We can work with that, right? He's a normal dev. He's our first normal dev draft pick. That's okay. And then on the other side, you got free safety Cole Osgood. He's really fast. He ran that 4.4. He's got some speed there to play center field. I like that. I like that as a free safety. You're going to be primarily focused when you get upgrades on your zone coverage for sure. Now, Nick Hall is pretty good. I like his speed too. 82 speed off the edge. Again, going to be a guy that's a little bit of a project in my opinion, but he's a guy that we can work with. Now, round 5, we do have some really good value here. Round 3, round 4 projection for Danny Blackwell. A cornerback, 87 speed, 86 change of direction, and 93 acceleration. Those are some pretty good base core attributes, if you will, for a cornerback. Definitely got to work on his technique for man and zone, but it's a good pick for us right now. Now, we're going to address the right side of the defensive line with Chad Boone. He's got some speed too. He's considered a speed rusher from Michigan. my home state, my favorite college football team. Don't you go hating on me. But Chad Boone, I think he's going to be a decent player. Again, just kind of a project. So we have not found a hidden dev since our first 3 picks, but that's okay. You know, the majority of these guys down here are going to be normal devs. If you find a guy that's hidden, all the better, all the more sweet, right? Marco Stevens will be the Nick Chubb possible Nick Chubb replacement. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to keep Nick Chubb here in a Cleveland Brown uniform. He's like the guy for me. If I had to pick between the big 3, Njoku, Watson, Chubb, I'm going with Chubb all day. Corey Kirkpatrick, quarterback here from Tennessee. He's got good size. Could be a nice project quarterback for us in the next like 2 to 3 seasons. See what he's got. See if he's going to be career backup, or does he have something? Can he show us something that he could be a starter one day? And then we got this guy, Aries Red. He was a high projected pick that just kept falling and falling and falling. Had some pretty good speed, so why not take a guy? Why not take a flyer? Now let's take a look at our draft results here. We've got a 72 overall Dean, hidden dev. Hills is 73, hidden. Swain is 72, hidden. Then you got the rest of these guys, high 60s. So I like that. I'm liking what I'm seeing there. Plus Marco Stevens is a 65, that running back. We can work with that. Plus Kirkpatrick, the quarterback, our worst pick. He's a 57. It's going to be a career backup. Like, you can't, with normal dev, you're not going to be able to progress that fast. But Aries Red, a 7th rounder. Pick 11 in the 7th round. He's a 69 with speed. I like that. He's going to be a player, I think. All right, let's get some training camp footage with our new players. Yeah, especially with those hidden dev guys like Cordell Hills, guy who didn't participate in the combine, but so far he's looking pretty good. 6'5" this man is, and he's got some moves in his back pocket. Take a look at this. Look at the separation right here. Just cutting back upfield, making the grab. Oof, this could be nasty. This could be nasty. Cordell Hills. Let's see if he can catch this bomb right here. He doesn't have enough leverage. Oh my goodness. I was going to say, I don't think he had enough spacing between the cornerback there, but my goodness, able to use that 6'5" frame and make the catch, and even make some athletic grabs in there too. 3 reps remaining here for Hills. Let's see if we can get the silver, possibly gold. Just running out of time right here. Trying to get him some solid rookie snaps and progression. He's going to find that 200 marker right there. Get the silver. Could get gold right here. Got that +6 times 6 multiplier right there. Let's see if Hills can break free. Not enough time. Going to settle for the 50 points, but we do get 1 skill point. We got quite a bit of rookie snaps in there too. That's going to help him. Plus, I think he's going to be a starter too, so we're going to know his development trait in no time. Let's take a look at Marco Stevens. I'm pretty excited about him, actually. We can see the breakaway speed too. I love that. I love that. Marco Stevens might be like that. He's not a 3rd down back, but he could be kind of a change of pace from Nick Chubb if we were able to extend him. He might be RB2 in the next couple of seasons if we can keep working with him, and he might be a nice little project back. We can keep him around. Look at this. Look at the speed. Look at the separation, man. I love him. All right, final rep here. We've got a ×9 multiplier. We're going to get up to silver, and that's good enough, man. That's good enough. That's 1,500 XP points for Marco Stevens. Now we've got the goal line drill with Michael Swain, the tight end, the athletic tight end. Let's see what he's got cooking here, guys. He's going to break free. Try to get to that corner, right? Got to get to the corner. Cornerback's just not letting him get there. Let's see if he's got enough breakaway here. Let's see. Little cut right there. Boom. Yep. Stick it in the dirt. Go. Give me that 400. Yes, sir. Get that big hot spot bonus right there. 4 times multiplier. Cut it back. There you go. Swain with the toe tap. So not only can this guy run and break off a route, he can catch the freaking football. Take a look at that athletic grab right there too. We're at the silver range. We got a ×6 multiplier going on. We got to get to that corner, but man, it's just not there. I believe that's Denzel Ward in coverage. So the fact that a tight end, a rookie tight end, is burning Denzel Ward, now that I just said that, he's going to lock him down in that corner of the end zone. But Swain, you got to get to the corner. We got to get to 400, man. But 1 rep remaining. A diving catch into the end zone. Touchdown. Brownies. Okay. So overall, I think I'm impressed. I'm pretty impressed with where we're at with our rookies. I think that they're gonna be a good core to build around. I'm impressed. So let's get into preseason here. We got 21-14 victory over the Detroit Lions, my Detroit Lions. 2 touchdowns for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Woof. He might be the quarterback of the future, guys. If we can pay for him, if we can afford him. If we're negative again, man, that's gonna suck. I really want to keep Dorian Thompson-Robinson if we can do it. But yeah, overall, you know, Turpin actually had two touchdowns. He was the 2 touchdowns that were caught from Thompson-Robinson. John Dean gave up 1 sack, so he got some time in there. Tony Fields II had 12 tackles today, with Bell with, I believe, 6 was the number there. Cole Osgood, the free safety, got in with 3. Danny Blackwell chipping in as well. Take a look at some sack totals here. Tackles for losses. You got Fields with a sack, Smith with a sack, and Owusu Karamoa with a INT. 27-10 victory over Seattle, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson again. Pretty good day. This time, no picks with 138 yards passing. Rushing attempts only had 2 for Thompson-Robinson, but Nick Chubb with a touchdown and 11.9 average yards per rush. That's just ripping off a bunch of big gains, so that's impressive. Michael Swain, rookie tight end, 7 grabs and a touchdown. Plus, Njoku was the second leading receiver with 4 for 40. So it seems like this offense really loves throwing to the tight end. So expect Michael Swain and Njoku to have big seasons. Relatively speaking, Njoku's gonna be the starter. But when Swain gets in, just expect his name to pop up a couple times on each box score, right? Tackles for loss, love to see that. We had a lot of TFLs coming in there, especially I like to see the rookies there. Frank Harris chipping in at an INT for James Wiggins. Like to see that. But against Dallas, we kind of dropped the ball here. Had a pick for Thompson-Robinson that is number 2 on the preseason if you are keeping track. And had a couple more rushing attempts there for Thompson-Robinson. But hey, you know what? Good day for Cordell Hills. 4 grabs, had a good receiving yard total. Like to see it. Now for the defense, Derek Barnes, 15 tackles, 13 of which were solo, plus a sack. That's what I'm talking about. That's the Derek Barnes that we want here, okay? But gotta pay for him because I think his contract's coming up too. Ugh. Man, we're struggling there with the contract situation, salary cap. Nick Hall, one of our rookies, had a TFL as well. No picks for our defense against Dallas. Now, Hills does have 2 skill points. He's got 2 upgrades. So I'm looking at his stats here, his core attributes, and it looks like he's just got to be a better route runner. He's got the physical tools, man. The dude's 6'5", and he can run, right? And he can catch. Just the problem is, you got to get separation. You got to be able to get open for your quarterback. So we are going to focus on slot. That way we can keep pounding the route running. We can do deep threat. We can make him into a deep threat archetype. We can keep playmaker going at a later date. But for right now, he is going to be a starter. Probably like the number 4, maybe 3 receiver, maybe number 2, because he's definitely not a slot guy. But slot just gives you the opportunity to focus on route running specifically. And I need him to find ways to get open and make catches because his big body, his big frame is going to be hard to tackle. Definitely have to focus on that. Now, Michael Swain, he's also got 2 skill points, and we're going to focus on blocking. So he's got all the physical tools as it is. He's fast, he can catch the football, but I need him to use that strength and be a better blocker because really, you start getting into 2 tight end sets with Njoku and Swain, there's going to be moments where he's going to be asked to block, right? So I need him to be a blocker at this early stage in his career because he can show that he can catch the football. He can show that he's fast. He can show that he's athletic, right? We can work on all that stuff down the road. That stuff's going to progress him naturally, right? Let's focus on the blocking. That way we can force progress that side of his game. So as we simulate season number 2, we are 3-4. We get a big time boost there for Michael Swain. A lot of lead blocking, stiff arming, route running. He's a star dev, so he did have his dev trait revealed. John Dean gets an upgrade here as well, but he does not yet have his development trait revealed, and that's pretty obvious. Why? Because he's sitting there behind Jedrick Wills Jr. Now, looking at our offense, did you guys see that? We are number 1 as far as yards go. As far as yards are concerned, we're number 1. But Watson's touchdown to pick ratio is just not, it's not cutting it, man. It's not cutting it. We lost Amari Cooper, and yet still our offense is the number 1 rated offense in the NFL as far as yards are concerned. As for touchdowns, that's a different story. Big plays, different story, but I'll take that, man. Like, we lost a huge piece, and yet still we are still killing it. I like it. But we're 3-4. You gotta point fingers at the quarterback. You can point fingers also at the defense too. I just don't see a lot of turnovers right now, as far as I'm concerned here. So tackles for losses, we can see a little bit more of that. You know, through 7 games, you got a lot of guys with 1. You know, Garrett's only got 4. He's got 5 sacks total. Interceptions, we have 1, and it's from a linebacker. Like, that's a problem. Defensively, that's a problem. We're 18th in the league as far as yards given up is concerned. And you guys can see, I knew this day would come. We are losing Nick Chubb. We're losing Newsome. We're losing Elijah Moore. We're losing Derek Barnes. We're losing Jedrick Wills. And we're $11 million in the hole in cap space. So what does all of this mean? As we simulate the end of the season, we went 6-11. So we were a game worse than we were last year. So there was no improvement. There was no improvement. I guess organizationally, you might argue that we did see some improvement, right? Hills is a star dev. He's up to a 74. Swain is a star dev. He's a 74. 75, actually, with the morale, if you took that away. Plus John Dean, he's up to a 73 without the morale. Negative point there. He's a 73. Getting some upgrades. He's also a star dev. I'm glad we signed him. I'm glad we drafted him, because I don't think we're going to be able to afford Wills, which sucks. But looking at our final total statistical output, Deshaun Watson, just too many picks. Too many picks, not enough touchdowns for a guy that we're paying as if he's a 90. It just wasn't a good year again. But the yardage was there, right? We'll take a look at the final output here. Where do we rank across the NFL? Hills actually did not have too bad of a season, all things considered, the fact that he might have been like the number 4 wideout. But John Dean gave up 7 sacks in 7 games played. That's a little concerning, but he's got some things to work on. I think when we put him at left tackle next season, he's definitely going to have some growing pains. Being a starter now. Now, when you look at total tackles, we only had Owusu-Koramoah with 100. So he's the only guy that had triple digits, which when I look back at like a guy like Schobert, right? Browns fans remember Schobert. He was amazing. He was a tackle machine. I used him a lot in fantasy football, right? For tackles. Defensive players league. But not enough picks. We just did not turn the ball over enough. It just wasn't a good output from our defense this year. So that's going to be a focal point for the next few seasons, is rebuilding that defense. But Deshaun Watson was right up there. He's in the top 10 as far as passing yards are concerned, but just way too many picks. You know, Jalen Hurts had 9. Bryce Young had 7. Tua, I think he had like 4. And then Desmond Ridder had 42 touchdowns. So, like, Deshaun, we got to get it going here, man. Got to get it going. Offense, like, yardage was great. We were 8th in the league. Defensively, though, I think we were just bend but don't break. We don't have, like, coverage linebackers to run this 3-4 under. Like, we probably need to be moving to a 4-3, in my opinion. We just don't have the talent there to cover. We're bringing a lot of pressure, but we're not getting a lot of sacks. We're not getting a lot of turnovers. Not getting a lot of picks. So, guys, the Vikings and the Bills will win their 2nd Super Bowl in a row. They're back-to-back champs, and now we're moving into season number 3. This will be season 2's off season. We're currently negative $8 million in cap space. So the next time I see you guys for part 2 of this Cleveland Browns rebuild is, how are we going to get out of this negative cap so that we can go out and sign Nick Chubb? That's probably going to be our biggest question mark, is if we can go out, can we accomplish this? Because we need Nick Chubb back. Right now, our running back room is pretty barren. We've got that Marco Stevens guy that we just drafted, I don't think that's going to be enough. So guys, leave a like if you like this thing. Let me know what your thoughts are about the Cleveland Browns rebuild here. Do you think we're doing a pretty okay job to start? What would you have done differently? And do you approve of the moves that have already been made? And what would be a focus point for you guys going into part number 2 here in season number 3? So guys, leave a like if you like this thing. I'll see you in the next one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and peace.